On this episode of the Layover Live, Adam stops by to talk email marketing.
I thought we were talking about lead magnets.
No, I sent you an email. We're talking about lead magnets.
Ooh, okay. Makes more sense.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 66 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by Marketing Automation Specialist Adam Dunning. So Adam, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So now that we've got the whole memo thing worked out, right, with lead magnets versus lead magnets, we're not talking about science today, but we are talking about something that is important, and that is lead magnets, right? So the article of the week comes from Pagely. It's a really, really good article about how to implement lead magnets across your conversion funnels, because oftentimes if we think about it with DMOs, we're really not converting those folks to those desired actions on the first visit or second visit or third visit, but we want to try to provide value to that audience from the get-go.
Absolutely.
And lead magnets is a great way to be able to do that, to trade out a piece of content or whatever it may be for an email address or whatever else might come into play. So first and foremost, before we kind of dig into lead magnets and what it can do, Adam, maybe talk a little bit about exactly what a lead magnet is.
Sure, absolutely. At the easiest way to think about it is really just curation of emails or information, address, things like that. So things like your newsletter signups, your visitor's guide signups, those are traditional lead magnets. But when we talk about additional ones like using Facebook, using Instagram to drive traffic to those particular pages can also be seen as those lead magnets as well.
Yeah, good point there. And oftentimes if we think about DMOs, we should constantly be thinking about ways to better serve audiences, ways to better get our content in front of the right audiences, and really grow our contact list. So maybe let's talk about how DMOs can use lead magnets to grow their contact list so they can provide more of that personalized content that people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just kind of thinking back to basics, when we look at a traditional newsletter sign up, we're used to seeing first name, last name, email, those kinds of things. But why don't we add a little bit extra content on there in terms of not only what we're going to be providing them as, what our monthly newsletter is, what might be on it, but also start asking interest information. Do they like pizza? Do they like, nightlife and restaurants? Do they like golf or things like that? Based on that information, especially as we ramp into things that are marketing automation specific and things like that, we can segment them down into different groups, so we're not sending the same content to the same people.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good information. Kind of reminds me of Layover a few weeks back when we talked with Michelle about segmenting lists. You don't want to just put people into one bucket, but you want to spread them into multiple buckets to gain a little bit more holistic view on who they are. I like the idea of having interest or incorporating interest into some of those lead magnets to try to find out a little bit more about the end user. So if we want to get started with lead magnets and using lead magnets into what we're talking about, where do we start with creating them?
Sure, the very first thing is simply just really mapping out the flow of where you want them to go, how they're getting that content, or what content they're going to be getting. And it could be something as simple as just the form on your homepage that is a newsletter sign up. Once they click it, where do they go? What information are you collecting? From there, what are you going to use it for? A lot of, in general, we're just used to seeing, we're going to collect all this data and then we're going to sit it over here and maybe use it for monthly newsletters or something down the road. But start thinking about what you're going to be using that for. Is it going to be used, where's it also coming from? Is it Instagram giveaways, Facebook giveaways, things like that? Or is it for your visitor's guide? And how you can take all that information and begin to learn even more from the data of what they're doing, why they're there, and what they're asking for.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good follow-up question. Hey, now that we've used these lead magnets, we've now started to build our databases, we start to get more people into our funnel so we can share content with them in a productive way. What do we do with those leads once we get all of them? What's a good way to utilize that information?
Absolutely, great question. And really the big thing is just start communicating with those contacts. The sooner you can start communicating with them, the better you'll be able to continue to have that conversation rather than wait 5 years and never actually use the data for anything. Right. But instead start sending those out. And it may be something as simple as just an automated thank you email right away as soon as they sign up for that form. Or then we can take that information and start to break it down even farther to find the different groups of people that like certain things. Or maybe they're visiting certain pages even though they have not said maybe they restaurants and nightlife, but they're looking at golf pages. With the new technologies and software out there, we're able to basically pull all that data together to start finding small pockets of people that all like the same thing, so we can start communicating with them a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's great. Great information, Adam. Thanks, because I think oftentimes we think about ways to, try to get people into the funnel from them, try to nurture that relationship so that we can turn them into a lead, and then what do we do with them after that? Because oftentimes I think we see DMOs that come to us with these contact lists that have very, from a vanity standpoint, have a large list. But then when you see who's really engaging at the end of the day, it's typically a much smaller number. So it's thinking about that audience, engaging with that audience on a regular basis. And hey, if they're not engaging with you for whatever reason, you've tried several different things, maybe removing them from your list.
Oh, absolutely.
It's only hurting your numbers, right?
Absolutely, and we can look at these at different levels too. Consumer, member, partner, meeting sales, all those things, even sports sales, look at them individually. And so we can start to have different communications with those different groups, not just a general monthly newsletter that goes out to everybody, but breaking those down of how we can actually communicate with them differently.
Yep.
Do lead-in campaigns, do lead-out campaigns for different events, different, people coming in. If they're coming in, send them emails beforehand,
Yep.
send them emails afterwards, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, great advice, but it starts with that lead magnet first because we got to get their email address,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So we can talk with them. So thanks for coming in and sharing that with
My
us today.
pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in each and every week. Again, please subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our list each and every week so we can bring you this great content. Again, we're also available on podcasting with Spotify and with iTunes. So if you can't check us out on YouTube, please check us out there as you're driving on your way to work or consuming us on your iPhone. So thanks, Adam, again.
Absolutely, my
Thank you for
pleasure.
tuning in each and every week. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.